8. Kahohano. Bad, smelling. My large bundle bounced awkwardly as I ran. But I was determined not to lose it, my only piece of home, my one link with survival. I heard footsteps following me, and then a raspy voice. Stop, boy. Come back. But I heard another voice inside me, and it pushed me on. Run, Pia. You must learn to be fast. Even here, Kameka's voice would not leave me. I looked over my shoulder to see who was chasing me, and when I did, I tripped. By the time I was on my feet again, I heard him panting behind me. Stop, he called again. His voice seemed to be right in my ear. I darted back and forth, dodging large rocks and hoping to wear him down. I too was getting tired, but I was determined not to let this man steal from me. I thought maybe the panting sounds weren't so close now. But the man called out again. Stop. The Luna said stop. I wasn't falling for that trick. I kept on running. I didn't dare look back again for fear of stumbling. Finally, I no longer heard footsteps. Only then did I turn to see if the man had given up. He stood there in the rocky field shaking his head. I stopped and sagged against one of the large boulders to catch my breath. He shrugged, then turned away from me. It hurt to breathe, so I tried only to think about that man plodding act toward the landing place. He was too short to be Boki. That meant someone else was trying to rob me. I decided then to keep away from everyone. I couldn't understand what was happening in this place. Where was the aloha, Hawaii's gentle, generous soul? Had it died when it reached these blackened shores? It was so cold here. I searched for the sun but saw only the wind. Light and warmth would have a hard time finding their way into the leprosy settlement. The village was just ahead now, so I decided to go and see what it was like. I reached a muddy road lined with black boulders. On either side were clapboard houses with glass windows, and small porches on front and back. Most were enclosed with loosely stacked rock walls to discourage intruders. Beside one house I saw a few callow plants, a patch of peas, and some sweet potato vines. But the yellowed leaves made me think the owner would not get much food from his garden. On the Mackay side of the road was a picket fence surrounding a group of buildings, and a corral with some cows and a few horses. Dogs barked at me as I walked past. I heard a rooster crow. For a moment I thought it could be any village in Hawaii. It could be my village. But it wasn't. There were no flowers. No color at all, really. Just dirty white houses with peeling paint. And the gray and brown of rock walls with a few vines struggling over them. And only one tree. The hala tree was so small and unimpressive that I almost hadn't seen it, standing by itself at the edge of the field of rocks. The shade it provided was so scarce that no one had even bothered to build a house beside it. In spite of what the sailor had told me, I headed toward the old volcano beyond the village. There were some trees growing on its slopes, perhaps I could find shelter there. But I soon realized that others had built their homes among those trees. Thatched huts and crude shelters were scattered around the hill. In the distance, at the western side of the peninsula, I saw the brightness of sunshine playing on the tops of trees. I longed to go there, but the sailor had said I was not allowed. And besides, I couldn't risk meeting anyone who might take my possessions. So I turned toward the area behind the crater. The pali loomed over most of the peninsula, but here, near the crater, there was also a wooded valley that interrupted the cliffs. Surely I could find a cave there, a place where I could hide until Boki and everyone else stopped wanting something from me. I climbed with my bundle over a rock wall and began my search. I passed a lean-to made of sticks propped against a stone wall. As far as I could tell, no one was in it. But a tattered mat protruding from one end suggested that it was someone's home. I didn't want it anyway, I could build a better house. When I reached the valley, the sounds of the forest welcomed me. It was cooler there, and darker, too, but I cared only that others could not see me through the tangle of twisted branches and giant ferns. I heard a noise and stopped to listen. It sounded like the snorting of a wild pig. I considered what I should do. It would be best to go around him. Kameka had taught me to trap and kill pigs, but I didn't want to startle one. A wild boar could be dangerous. Before I could sneak away, I saw it. He seemed to be feeding in a shallow ditch. A rumbling in my stomach reminded me that I had not eaten since leaving Honolulu. What food did this pig have? I moved stealthily toward him to find out. Was it an edible root of some sort? The pig was so engrossed in his meal that he did not seem to notice me. Still, I kept my distance while I peered through a snarl of twisted branches. His meal appeared to be wrapped in an old blanket. The boar grunted with pleasure as he ate. Certainly he was not eating roots. I leaned forward, squinting in the half-darkness, until I recognized the shape of a. Surely not. But it was. The pig dragged his meal a short distance and then a slant of light came in through the treetops. I could see it all more clearly now. He was feeding in a shallow grave. But whose? And then I knew. It must be the grave of a leprosy patient. Like me. The scene with the pig wobbled before my eyes. I grabbed a tree to steady myself. Surely I had not come to Molokai for this to become food for pigs. I forgot then about keeping out of the boar's way. I forgot about protecting my bundle. I threw it at the pig but it fell short, landing at the base of a large, moss-covered rock. I reached for stones on the forest floor. I hurled them at the pig. Stop. I screamed. I'll kill you. I'll kill you. The startled pig stopped eating, looked at me, and charged. I scrambled behind a boulder, but he came after me. Once again I was being chased. And the pig could move more easily through the underbrush than I could. I picked up a rock and turned to face him. He was close and coming right at me. I threw the rock and it hit him hard on the nose. He squealed and I threw another one. Then he turned to run. I watched as he hurtled into the underbrush, and then I ran, too deep into the woods. I ran until my legs crumpled beneath me. I huddled there with my knees and my forehead pressed to the earth of Molokai. It was damp and soft and smelled of decaying leaves. I vomited until my stomach was empty and the earth beneath me was foul.